Good morning and welcome to the Board of Commissioners meetings for April 12th, 2016. Our custom is to present the invocation and the pledge before calling the meeting officially to order. Today, the invocation will be presented by Reverend Scott Franks from Burton History Church of Christ. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Officer Cooley, who has been employed with the Cobb County Police Department since June of 2015 and is assigned to Precinct 2. For those who wish to do so, please rise for the invocation and the pledge.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we come before you this morning just to thank you for all the blessings that we woke up to today. We are truly a blessed and rich people in this country and in this county, and we glorify you and praise you for that. And this morning, Lord, I lift up to you these commissioners, and I lift up to you all the decisions that are made in this room today. I thank you for these men and women and their willingness to serve the people of this county in a difficult and often thankless position. And I thank you for their servant hearts, and I ask you bless them for that. And this morning I ask you bless them with wisdom and with clarity. Guide them, Lord, to make the decisions that are right and just and best for the people of Cobb County. We ask this, Lord, in the name of your Son. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Franks and Officer Cooley. We will now call this meeting officially to order. Our first item is tab 1, presentations. There are 4 items. The first is to present a proclamation designating the month of April 2016 as Community Banking Month. For those that are here for that item, if you'd come forward, please. Well, good morning. In Cobb County, usually bankers line up a little bit, and in Cobb County, small banks, community banks are the backbone of our community. They are what make us strong, and is what individuals throughout our community, the relationships they have with a community bank is what sets us apart in the banking industry. And we're proud of our community banks in Cobb and what they contribute to making our community the strongest it possibly can. We have a proclamation we'd like to present. I'm going to read it because it's important. Whereas for more than 150 years, Georgia community banks have provided the local support for communities needed to prosper and grow. Community banks have established a tradition of extensive community involvement, consistently reinvesting into the areas they serve in the form of residential, commercial, agricultural, and consumer loans. And whereas community banks play a significant role in economic development by helping generate new business opportunities and jobs, thereby continuing to strengthen the economy of hundreds of cities and towns across Georgia. Community banks serve as a significant employer in Georgia, with thousands of men and women in full and part-time positions, serving millions of account holders as well as thousands of shareholders. And whereas community banks focus on the prosperity of urban, suburban, and rural areas, meeting the various financial needs of consumers, small businesses, farmers, and corporations in their hometowns. This is achieved by reinvesting, on average, 95% of their loan portfolio in their respective communities through residential mortgages and commercial, agricultural, and student loans. And whereas, in order to create a greater public awareness and understanding of the important role that community banks have played and will continue to play in our community, Cobb County recognizes Community Banking Month during the month of April, and now therefore recognize the ongoing support and commitment and contributions to the community and the state of Georgia, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2016 as Community Banking Month, presented this day in April by the whole Board of Commissioners. I think it's a great resume for you guys. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization.
I'm Dan Oliver, CEO of Vinings Bank. We're located just down the road about 8 miles or so. Been around 9 years. We're about a $300 million bank. Only office is Cobb County, and we consider ourselves fortunate to be here.
Clark Hungerford, president of Vinings Bank, and I just echo what Dan said, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve the people of Cobb County and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Ed Cooney, president of Affinity Bank, been around for 14 years, and we are a $270 million bank.
I'm Rob Braswell, the president and CEO of the Community Bankers Association of Georgia, and we represent about 165 community banks across the state, and we're located here in Cobb County as well, and are pleased to be here, like I say, and to represent the banks that serve the communities throughout the state.
If you two would hold this, and then we'll take a picture on you. Item 2 is to present a proclamation to Safe Path Children's Advocacy Center. Will the folks that are here for that item please come forward? We always look forward to this group coming. We never know what we're going to get as little door prizes.
Very good.
How are you, sir?
So this shy young lady here, Miss Ginger, boy, what a service these folks provide for our community. It's a service that we desperately need so dearly, and you guys do such a wonderful job. It's just sad that we have to have you guys. I mean, with all due respect. But these guys are just phenomenal, and I have a proclamation I too am going to read because your story is important to tell, and we want to make sure that folks at Cobb County hear that story. And I think I have this from last year too. Whereas child abuse and neglect are significant problems in the United States, and the effects can be traumatic and long-lasting. And whereas in the state of Georgia, one child is a victim of confirmed abuse every 15 minutes, and 1 out of every 4 girls and 1 out of every 6 boys is sexually abused before the age of 18. Of these victims, approximately 1/3 are age 5 or younger, and children ages 3 and younger are the most frequent victims of child fatalities, with almost 1/3 of these deaths being attributed to neglect. And whereas Safe Path Children Advocacy Center, Inc. is a private, nonprofit organization founded by the Coalition for Children Abuse Prevention, is governed by the volunteer board of directors comprised of prominent professionals and citizens. And whereas Safe Path Children's Advocacy Center has partnered with the Cobb County community in improving the lives of children victims of abuse by reducing the trauma to children and their non-offending caregivers. And whereas Safe Path Children's Advocacy Center is dedicated to providing a comprehensive team approach to the investigation, prosecution, treatment, and prevention of child abuse, including physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, internet crimes, child fatalities, and children which have witnessed domestic violence and homicide. And whereas Safe Path Children Advocacy Center is fully accredited at the national level by the National Children's Alliance and is a full member of the Children's Advocacy Centers of Georgia. Safe Path provides or serves as a mentor site for new, developing, and existing child advocacy centers around the country. And whereas under the guidance, dedication, and vision of their board of directors, Safe Path has provided approximately 13,300 child victims and their non-offending caregivers over 66,000 units of service since the center's inception in 1995. So now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of April, Child Abuse Prevention Month in Cobb County, and commend Safe Path Children Advocacy Center for their steadfast commitment to assisting victims of all forms of child abuse. Kind of puts everything else we're doing today, sets it aside. There's something more important than taking care of our community and our youth, and we appreciate so much what you do for them. I want to present you, Ginger, with this proclamation.
Thank you.
And at my pearl, I ask, give you the mic.
How long do you have?
So why, you take as long as you want. Why aren't you guys in your little fairy outfits? Princess outfits, I should say. From the gala, we have,
As director of Safe Path Children's Advocacy Center, it is an honor to be located in Cobb County. We could not do what we do without the county support. David Hankerson's been a wonderful support. The Cobb County Commissioners have been a wonderful support for a number of years for our organization and the community. Law enforcement, Department of Family and Children's Services, Wellstar is our medical provider on site, and the prosecutors at the DA's office. We can't do it unless we all work together. We just recently had our national site visit, and we were quoted as being one of the 5 top advocacy centers in the nation. That is something Cobb County needs to be proud of.
I'm Denise Hession. I'm the Community Resource and Development person at Safe Path.
Kevin Rogers with Wells Fargo. I'm the president of the board at Safe Path.
Dr. Lisa Johnson, I'm at Kennesaw State, and I'm honored to be on this board, and thank you, Safe Path, for everything that you do.
Elizabeth Hyatt, I'm a finance associate at Safe Path.
Jennifer Puckett, I'm the Wellstar nurse practitioner at Safe Path.
Cameron Poklemba, I'm the Intervention Services Associate at Safe Path.
I'm Hannah Lane. I'm the Community and Marketing Coordinator at Safe Path. So the pinwheel is April's national symbol of Child Abuse Prevention Month, and it's just sort of bringing back that childhood is there and it's alive, and the children should be allowed to be innocent and not have to worry about what we deal with. Yes.
thank you. I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry you're here. It really, I would like to, not to have a job either, but it really puts into perspective everything else we're doing today as almost insignificant compared to what the work these folks do. So thank you for what you do. We're going to get a picture here.
This way? Is that your best side?
Told you she was shy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shannon gave you. Thanks for being with us. Keep it. Appreciate you. Great job. Absolutely. Item 3, to present a proclamation from the Board of Commissioners to the Sons of the American Revolution. Commissioner Burrow.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure today to present this proclamation to our Sons of the American Revolution, and I see them coming up. We do this every year for in honor of Patriots Day, and this is one of my most favorite proclamations, so thanks for being here. So I'm going to read this and then ask y'all to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Patriots Day if you'd like. Whereas April 19th marks the date in 1775 when the towns of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts were marched upon by the British regulars in an effort to confiscate munitions of the local militia, and whereas the resulting shot heard round the world and the rout of the Redcoats are now celebrated as Patriots Day, and whereas on April 19, 1778, Colonel Samuel Elbert, commanding 3 Georgia Navy galleys, Lee, Washington, and Bullock, encountered 3 British ships in the Frederica River near St. Simon's Island. After 5 hours of naval action, the British ships were captured by Colonel Elbert and the Georgia Navy. This victory boosted Patriot morale and caused the British to delay the invasion of Georgia by more than 8 months. And whereas Patriots Day serves to remind citizens of the American Revolution and the sacrifices endured during the years of struggle by patriots such as Captain John Collins for American independence. And whereas the descendants of the soldiers who fought in the American Revolution encouraged the community to proclaim April 19th of each year as Patriots Day in commemoration of the American Revolution and the struggle for independence. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do proclaim April 19th, 2016 as Patriots Day and encourage all residents to become more knowledgeable of the role which the Revolutionary War played in the history of our country, of our county and our country. This is the 12th day of April, 2016. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you so much on behalf of the Georgia Society Sons of the American Revolution and our president, Alan Greenlee. My name is Wayne Brown, and I am the Senior Vice President for the Georgia Society and past president of the Captain John Collins chapter. And by the way, Captain John Collins is actually buried here in Cobb County on Mars Hill Road. And right after the Revolution, he actually moved and lived in Ackworth. So, you know, it's a great thing to be here. Thank you so much. It is an honor. You know, to think that April 19th, 1775, we had men of courage step forward and start the fight for independence that created this great nation for which we enjoy the fruits thereof today. You know, when we think of what they went through, the unbearable temperature, the unbearable climate, the unbearable circumstances, many times they were hungry. They didn't have proper clothing. We take it so much for granted today because we work, we live, we even drive to and from in an environmentally controlled vehicle, and we lived in environmentally controlled spaces and worked therein. You know, to think what these folks went through is just phenomenal. And for the principle of liberty. Did you know there's only one county in the state of Georgia that is named after that principle, and therein is Liberty County. Again, thank you so much, and if I may, I'd like to pass this down. Some of our chapters are represented here today.
Thank you. My name is Shep Hammock, and I am past treasurer of the Piedmont chapter, which is located in Roswell. Also, the founding of the organizing president of a new chapter that we're starting in the Dunwoody-Sandy Springs area. I will take this moment to encourage any of you out here who have male associates, husbands, sons, brothers, uncles. It's a great organization. I think if you'll look into it, you will find that we do a lot of good work. And for you ladies sitting out there, our counterpart organization, the Daughters of the American Revolution, is also outstanding in their chapters all over the state. So, thank you very much.
My name is Lee Hulsey. I am currently the 2016 president of the John Collins chapter, and really appreciate the proclamation that you presented us today.
My name is Terry Gibbs. I'm a past president of the Captain John Collins chapter. Currently, I'm the recording secretary for the Georgia Society, SAR, and I'd like to thank the commissioners for this proclamation.
I'm Bob Sapp, Piedmont Chapter, past president, also past president of the State Society, and currently state registrar for the Georgia Society, Sons of the American Revolution, and we thank you very much for the proclamation.
I'm Bob Shaw, past president of the Piedmont Chapter and currently treasurer of the Georgia Society. And let me encourage, as Shep said, to all of you who would like to become involved in a great organization, I lend it my support. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chandler Breland. I serve as the Chancellor for the John Collins chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution. I want to thank our commissioners and everyone for this proclamation. And I would also invite anyone who may have a descendant to please consider joining this great organization. Thank you very much.
Great job, and thank you all for all that you do and for carrying on our history and our freedom, celebrating April 19th, a week from today. Don't forget, Patriots Day. Let's get a picture in here. Hey, Terry. I like this picture.
See you.
Thank you for coming.
Come back, says at Lions Club too.
Okay.
Item number 4 is to present the first quarter 2016 Customer Service Excellence Award. Mr. Hankerson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it is my honor to recognize the first quarter winners for this quarter. Certainly we have 2 outstanding winners, and certainly I want to also publicly thank the Customer Service Council for the fine job you do. We began this program in 1991, and since then it's been refined and changed to better focus on our customer service. Our county is divided into 10 groups, and each group can nominate different people. They're not required to. But once they do, the nominations go before the council, and they select the winners for the quarter. And when they do, I get the honor and the privilege to go into the workplace in the presence of their peers and announce them as winners, and they have no idea. Many of them attend these meetings under false pretense, and others because we want it to be a surprise to say thank you. And when we recognize them, they get a $50 gift certificate. They also are displayed on our website for one full quarter. They also are displayed in our service centers for one full quarter. And we also had a continental breakfast this morning where the winners able to have a photo with the chairman that were displayed in their workplace. And we want to say thank you for what they do. And they also are eligible to become a Customer Specialist of the Year, which he or she is selected from the quarter winners. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Christian Loafman to introduce and tell you a little bit about our winners today.
Thank you, Mr. Hankerson. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and special guests. On behalf of the Customer Service Council, it is a great honor to present the first quarter winners of the Cobb County Customer Service Excellence Award. Today, we will recognize 2 employees. Each of these employees was nominated by their coworkers for consistently going above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to providing customer service excellence. Both of today's winners come from our Parks Department. Mackie Temple is the Land Unit Supervisor for the department. He is responsible for scheduling, prioritizing, and supplying materials and tools for all landscape projects for the department. Mackie is receiving this award for putting others ahead of himself, which is what customer service is all about. Whether he is volunteering to cut a fallen tree at the Civil Comment Trail so that his coworkers could attend a retirement party, providing resources and training for new employees working to obtain their CDL licenses, or helping other units within parks find materials needed for projects or testing equipment, Mackie always asks what needs to be done and jumps in to help coworkers complete their projects and attain their goals. Mackie, thank you for showing us and all of Cobb County's employees that customer service excellence is a mission possible. Harold Blacksmith is a maintenance worker in the park's construction unit. He oversees construction and maintenance projects for the department. Customer service is second nature to Harold. He is always looking for solutions for problems, big or small. One example of Harold's problem-solving skills occurred at the Word Recreation Center. Employees at the center had discarded 3 artificial Christmas trees because the stands had broken. Harold noticed the trees and told the employees he would fix them. Several days later, he returned with new bases for the trees and saved the county $600, which was the cost to replace the damaged trees. Some individuals would have seen this as a mission impossible, but Harold made it a mission possible. Thank you, Harold, for your dedication to customer service. We are proud of your accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our first quarter Customer Service Excellence Award winners for 2016.
Again, to our quarter winners, thank you for what you do. Keep up the good work. I'm proud I've watched you and admired you for a number of years, and the spirit in which you go about serving the citizens of this county and supporting your fellow departments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you could not do it without your Cobb family. And many of you have personal family members here to support, because that's what it's about. Will the family members of our awardees today please stand? Will the support of all of our employees please stand? That's what it's about. It's about the team, and I see why you're motivated to do it. Again, thank you. And let's give them another big round of applause. Thank you.
With the board's indulgence, I'd like to move tab 7 to our next tab and begin with item 3 of the regular agenda items. Tab 7 is the Public Services Agency. There's 3 items from the Parks, Recreational, and Cultural Affairs. Mr. Cannon, sorry to pull this on you, but we have some special board members here from the Veterans Memorial Foundations, and we know they're busy folks. We'd like to recognize this item and then move on, if you could, please.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you surprised me.
Thank you.
But I appreciate that. A few months ago, a committee was formed by the chairman to look at the possible of constructing a Veterans Memorial in Cobb County. A lot of the members of this committee are here today, and I asked them to stand. They have done months of work. We looked at many sites across the county. Originally, we looked at a site at Powder Springs Station, but as we got into it and had more discussion, we just felt like that site was not going to work to what we really wanted to do. So we looked at about 20 sites throughout the county, and with the help of Mr. Hankerson, we came across a site on Fairground Street. And so we're going to ask the board today to identify this site as the location. So we asked the Board of Commissioners to approve moving forward with the design of the Veterans Memorial and to approve the location at 520 Fairground Street in Marietta, Georgia for the construction of the memorial. You'll see the map that is located on the screen. This is right behind the Central Aquatic Center, which sits right beside the Cobb County Civic Center. You can see the parking lot location gives us plenty of parking for any functions that we may have. And it's just a great visibility site for us to be able to honor the branches of service for our veterans. And so we feel like this is a great site, and we ask the Board of Commissioners to approve this and to give us the okay to start the design on the site.
Thank you. Commissioner Ott, would you lead our conversation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a member of the committee, I just want to thank the three of you and the other members of the committee. I know that you spent a lot of time and effort in finding the site, and so it's my pleasure to make a motion to approve agenda item number 3, which is approval of the site location.
Can I have, pardon me, I was going to have our Marine second that motion with all due respect. You're gonna
Be my honor to second it, sir.
There you go. Call the question. Oh boy, we've got new boards here. Motion carries 5 yeses. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
While
thank
you're
you.
there, let's go back up to 1 and 2, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
okay, sure.
Thank you for being here, folks. I appreciate your work. We're going to double your pay next month.
All right, the next item is for the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract with Bartow Paving Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $332,635.94 for asphalt paving and related services to resurface the parking lot and access roadways at the Cobb County Civic Center. This comes under the 2011 Park Splash Program, and asks that you authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you. And Commissioner Ott has a point that I think we need to act on before we go further. Commissioner Ott.
We had them stand up. Eddie,
Yes.
do you want to introduce the committee members that are here?
Why don't we have them come up and?
There you go. There you go. That works
Okay.
too. Of course, you guys didn't know the 3 of you, yeah?
Yes.
Why don't you each say which branch of service you were in and what you did?
Okay. Back me up. First and foremost, my name is Donna Rowe. I was Captain, Army Nurse Corps, Vietnam War. I was head nurse of shock trauma triage, 3rd Field Hospital, Saigon. And I took care of people for a long time, 369 days, actually.
My name's Dave Hambrick. I was a captain in the Marines for 21 years, 2 tours in Vietnam, 65 and 66, back in 68 and 69.
I'm Mark Johnson, and I don't want this to be any kind of stolen valor arrangement here. I didn't serve, but I have the honor of assisting our veterans.
I just want to thank the commission very much. I know that General Bankers couldn't be with us today. He's our president of our foundation. But I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the 55,000 veterans that live in Cobb County. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Cannon, I'm sorry. They always said you're very flexible.
Yes.
Item 1, please.
Okay. This item is for the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract with Bartow Paving Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $332,635.94. This is for the asphalt paving and related services to resurfacing the parking lot and access roadways at Cobb County Civic Center. This comes under the 2011 Park Splash Program, and I ask that you authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Rutherford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve as presented, sir.
Second.
Any comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 2, please.
The next item is for the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract with Osprey Management LLC in the amount not to exceed $84,907.36 for the repairs and rebuilding of the boardwalk at the Heritage Park. This comes under the 2011 Park Splash Program, and I ask that you authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents. Heritage Park is located right off the Silver Comet Trail. There's a lot of native plants there, and it's been a site. It's kind of one of those hidden away sites that a lot of our citizens use for walking trails, and really a lot of enjoyment on that site.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Cupid.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Eddie. With that, motion to approve.
Second.
Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCullers, I appreciate your patience. We're going to go back to tab 2, our water system, one item.
Good morning. The water system requests that you hold a public hearing this morning for one of our upcoming projects, asset evaluation at water reclamation facilities where consulting fees are expected to exceed $100,000.
Thank you, sir. We'll now open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item, please come forward at this time. And this is for this item only. Seeing and hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. McCullers.
Thank you, sir.
Tab 3, Community Development, 2 items. Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, Chairman Dana Johnson, Cobb County Community Development. We are here to ask you to please open a public hearing for consideration of a Chattahoochee Corridor Plan Certificate of Compliance for the construction of a bus sales and maintenance facility at 7128 Discovery Boulevard. This will be a private bus sales and maintenance facility. As a point of background, the Georgia Assembly approved a law in 1973 called the Metropolitan Rivers Protection Act that requires that any land disturbing activities within a certain distance of the Chattahoochee River should be reviewed by the Atlanta Regional Commission for compliance with the Chattahoochee Corridor Plan. And as such, we are asking for you to please open a public hearing in regard to the bus sales and maintenance facility at 7120 Discovery Boulevard, and at the conclusion of that hearing, consider granting the certificate, sir.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we will open the public hearing for this item only. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward at this time. Seeing and hearing none, public hearing is closed. Commissioner Cupid.
Yes. With that, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments? Call the question. Hang on a minute, folks. There you go. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Item 2, please.
Item 2, sir, with your permission, I would like to invite Mr. Jason Gaines up to the podium to please present this item, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Jason Gaines, Cobb Community Development. This item is to conduct a public hearing for one of 3 items that was continued from this past January's annual comprehensive plan amendments meeting. This item is number ZD1, zoning decision 1, and the original request or proposal involved the conversion of a single parcel on Atlanta Road from the low-density residential future land use category to the industrial compatible future land use category. At the time in January, staff was directed to look at parcels in the surrounding area that have some interaction between residential and industrial uses. In other words, we were asked to look at protection for residential uses from more of the industrial compatible uses along in that particular area. So the area the staff focused on for this request involved a corridor along Atlanta Road between Pat Mill and Austell Roads. This map that you see before you is the original ZD1 request. Next slide, please. This map, labeled ZD1B, shows all of those parcels along that corridor that I just mentioned between Pat Mill Road and Austell Road along the Atlanta Road corridor that are currently under the industrial compatible future land use category. So in looking at those parcels, staff proposed the following text amendment to go along with all of these parcels that are now highlighted in the proposal. In an effort to mitigate industrial land use impacts affecting adjacent residential land uses, it is recommended that the Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners consider additional and enhanced buffering and/or screening requirements on any redevelopment of the industrial properties along the west side of Atlanta Road corridor between Austell Road and Pat Mill Road. This item is coming back to you as a public hearing because it had to go back to the planning commission as a public hearing as well, since the original request involved one parcel, and now we have several parcels involved with this request. So with that, I ask Chairman if he would please open a public hearing regarding this item for consideration.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll open a public hearing for this comprehensive plan amendment item. If there anyone here wishing to speak on this item, please come forward. Seeing and hearing none, the public hearing is closed. You're asking for action to be taken by the board today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Cupid.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank you, Jason, for taking the efforts to have the text amendment to protect the residential properties. There has been some continuing industrial uses along Atlanta Road. However, there just has not been adequate protection for a lot of the residential properties behind it. So this amendment here today allows us to better protect those residential neighbors next to those industrial properties. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Takes us to tab 4, our first public comment period.
Your first speaker is Dr. John Morgan.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my comments. I'm Dr. John Morgan, a retired professor and dean, a Cobb resident of 35 years, neighborhood watch rep with Precinct 4 Penn since its inception, and I brought two of my friends here to talk about the same issue. And let me say, I have this opportunity to say having the Braves and the new stadium and entertainment here is a coup. A very great deal for everybody in Cobb, especially this Braves fans who likes to go, particularly when there are choices of seats, which unfortunately there still are this year, looks like. With all the good benefits to most of us, affluence, the investment, wealth generated, I sense there is a little cloud on the horizon that I find troubling and that we want to address that possibly will tarnish this image. And because of it, I'm desiring to work with the county with my own otherwise comfortable retirement resources to help resolve. After 25 plus years doing resumes and helping the homeless find jobs, even in the old days of MUST and CFR, helping them, then more recently at Samaritan House downtown called Center for Self-Sufficiency, Family Promise, and now at Marietta, our First United Methodist Church, Good Samaritan Ministry. I've begun to notice more and more of this problem, and I'd like to read from a paper that I gave to the bishop who taught a course I took in leadership this January. Quoting, following our church's free hot lunch, that's First Methodist, a slender, attractive middle-aged lady in donated clothes whispered her plight. Laid off recently, lost her home, car, and belongings, little food until our meal, all her money and resources drained. With excellent credentials, UCLA degree, software developer with IBM, she was transferred to Atlanta, where a year later her office closed. Could we just tide her over with survival handouts pursuant to finding another job? She had expended her free phone minutes on hold with United Way 211 hotline, only to hear routine referrals to standard shelters, charities, all with waiting lists 40 to 50 deep, or insufficient funds. This includes our major charities, and this happens constantly. She had spent the previous night outdoors, but unfortunately with no shelter, we could only offer her a tent and a sleeping bag. Earlier, a degreed Rutgers millennial with 12-year-old son, an A-plus student, by the way, had walked the streets all night until our church opened the next morning. And finally, a middle-aged Asian American mom expelled from home by an abusive spouse had only found and passed the night on our church's asphalt parking lot, siphoning nearby creek water through her stockings for drinking and sponging hygiene. I don't even know where that creek is, Brother Lee. I don't know. I know, and I can't imagine all the asphalt and where she slept. These stories are multiplying as the demographics of homelessness change. And I passed around the sheet of you talking about homelessness. These stories are multiplying as the demographics of homelessness change. In Georgia, there are 53,000 homeless people, about 8,500 unsheltered. 43% of them are children. And by 12, statistics show 83% of these children have been exposed to serious violence. This is a problem. Without secure enclosure, homeless suffer frequent physical criminal violence. Statistics also show a homeless woman is 20 times more likely to be raped, and so on, as this lady unfortunately said she was. In Cobb County, there are 91 unsheltered homeless. Statistics, actually those are the ones they could find. There are actually more, 100 to 150 we guess. In 415 total homeless, but only 348 beds. The problem is compounded when major shelters like Musk can't accommodate the demand. Quoting, over a 70-day period earlier this year, Musk Ministries had to turn away 584 people, including 171 children, because it was full. This was during the summer, which is a concern for Reverend Ike Reichert of Musk, who's a friend of mine and ours. This was from MDJ, December of 2015, Marietta Daily Journal. Where do they go to find shelter? Some live in a car. We've had those under bridges, in culverts, and wooded areas. You can find them, and I've found them. Those pitching tents or tarps are often reported to authorities who dutifully issue warnings,
Thank you, Dr. Morgan.
citations, or haul the trespassers to jail, ensuring their removal. But then, where do they go? One more sentence or two. They usually return to similar locales or reported, and a vicious cycle ensues. What's the solution? Sergeant Foster of Marietta PD Community Response Unit was asked. I honestly don't know, he said, a man of faith, dejectedly. Finally, seeking answers, I went to a shelter out of state. Well, I went to it online and found this shelter out of state, which is Finding Solutions and Answers. The sergeant there said 200 and plus vagrants downtown. When this program was introduced, we reduced to 25, only 10 chronic. 3,300 arrests annually related to homelessness, reduced now to 1,500 for all infractions. Millions of dollars previously spent on court, medical, jail, and emergency costs have been saved, and the program now receives the unmitigated support business, residential, government, civic, law enforcement, and faith leaders. And that officer is happy to come tell his story. I'd be happy to talk with you anytime about this.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you. And I'd like those color photos back if I could. You can
Absolutely.
keep them.
We'll get it back. We'll get it back. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Richard Wannell.
Good morning. My name is Richard Wannell. I'm a retired high school Cobb County school teacher and a retired military vet. And I'm working with John and the committee that's putting together this HOPE project for you all. I belong to Stonebridge Church, and Stonebridge Church helps people that have lost their birth certificates to obtain new ones. We send off the applications and help them with the fees. We did 125 of them last year, so there's a number of people in this county that, for whatever reason, they're stolen, they're lost, they're homeless, they've lost their birth certificates. And you know, as I know, that a birth certificate is very important in order to get a Georgia ID or a driver's license renewed. So our church does this sort of thing. There's a group of us and a team that does that. And what we would like to do would be to set up something like this with this homeless park, this Marietta Hope Park that would favorably, if you all think so, would be set up, and we'd set up some sort of a kiosk or a section to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Pastor John Woods.
Good morning. I'm John Woods. I'm the senior pastor of the Union Chapel United Methodist Church here in Marietta. I'm a lifelong member a lifelong resident of Cobb County. I'm a retired Atlanta police officer. I've been pastoring the church for 7 years here in Marietta. We feed the homeless every Sunday morning. On one Sunday, I had the opportunity, which I do many Sunday mornings, meet the homeless. We're a multicultural church, and my heart was troubled about 3 weeks ago when a woman 75 years of age came and worshiped with us, and she said she spent the night in the woods. She was wet, and she couldn't stay another night in the woods. She asked if we would assist her in getting a place to stay because her Social Security check, the money was taken out of her account, and she was put out of her room, and she had no place to go, and Mus had no room for her in the end. We assisted her. Now, with these problems going on in Cobb County, the county where I've lived all my life, I know we can assist, and this is something we don't have to have in this county. We've all been blessed, and we can bless others. I hope we're founded in our hearts to listen to what we have to say and finding a solution to ridding homelessness in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Cynthia Patterson.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cynthia Patterson. I have lived in East Cobb since 1998. Thank you for your support to purchase parkland with the 2008 Park Bond funds. Since 2008, the county has not purchased even 1 acre of land for parks. It is imperative we move quickly to protect suitable properties and prevent them from being developed. The price of land in Cobb is skyrocketing. The longer the delay, the less open land remains, and the more expensive it is. At the same time, the value of the 2008 park bond is diminishing. Several prime properties on the 2009 list are not yet developed. These properties are vetted. Why don't the commissioners visit these properties, negotiate to buy the best land, and purchase it now? The Recreation Board will continue to vet a new list based on 2016 nominations and present the list of properties to the commissioners in October 2016. Purchasing choice properties now demonstrates the Board of Commissioners' good faith to honor the 2008 park bond. Referendums are binding and are mandated by law. Voters approved the 2008 park bond by 67%. The Board of Commissioners has a moral and legal obligation to fully fund the $40 million. Citizens expect the Board of Commissioners to fully fund the bond when they plan the 2017 budget. Funding the $40 million is the will of the people. We are not settling for anything less than full funding. Fully fund the 2008 park bond. $40 million buys priceless legacies for citizens of all ages and all incomes. Places to socialize and recharge with family and friends. Cleaner air and cleaner water. A better, more desirable community where people want to live and where businesses want to relocate. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Roberta Cook.
Good morning, Chairman Lee and Commissioners. My name is Roberta Cook. I live in Mapleton, Georgia. I'm active in a group called the Cobb Parks Coalition. Our website is lovecobbparks.com. We are citizens from every Cobb County district who have united to reinstate the $40 million 2008 Cobb Parks bond, a referendum approved by the voters to buy parkland in Cobb County. After 29 properties were selected for acquisition, as you can see up on the monitor, under that program by the commissioner-appointed Park Bond Citizens Advisory Committee, it was suspended due to a weak economy. No land was purchased for parks. The economy has since rebounded, and we appreciate your recent reinstatement of the $40 million park bond program. Unfortunately, due to the 7-year delay, several of the 29 properties selected for purchase have been lost to development. So collecting new property nominations is logical and currently in progress. Because development is consuming the 29 park properties, the Cobb Parks Coalition is requesting the Board of Commissioners to act now. We request you visit the remaining undeveloped properties of willing sellers on this list as soon as possible and purchase those that meet with your approval while the newly nominated properties undergo the vetting process. We can justify priority handling of these properties because they have already been thoroughly vetted by the 2008 Citizens Advisory Committee. I served on Cobb County's first Citizens Advisory Committee in 2006. That pioneered the property selection model used in 2008. When properties were nominated, there are laborsome procedures followed by both Cobb County staff and the Citizens Advisory Committee. To help you appreciate the 29 properties on this map, you should know these are the best of over 300 properties that were nominated. After Cobb County staff qualified the 300 nominations, critical information about each one was compiled in an orderly manner so the Citizen Advisory Committee can compare their qualities on paper. The committee used a spreadsheet evaluation tool to numerically score each property based on its merits of parcel size, historic features, environmental factors, connectivity to parks, trails, etc., usability, underserved areas, hydrology, accessibility, timing, and topography. Each person on the Citizens Advisory Committee scored each of these 300 properties. Those scores were combined to achieve a group score, which provided a basis to schedule visitation. Cobb County staff miraculously arranged the Citizen Advisory Committee to visit 70 properties. Out of those 70, these 29 were recommended to the existing Cobb County Board of Commissioners for acquisition. At that point, the program was suspended. If it had been implemented, the next step would involve the Board of Commissioner visits to the 29 property. Today, we are asking you to take the next step. Please visit the viable properties and purchase those that meet your approval without delay. In closing, expediting property acquisitions from the 2008 park bond list, as you can all see on the monitor, is respectful to Cobb County staff and the appointed volunteers who invested a great deal of their time vetting nominations for Cobb County Parks. I've made copies of my speech, so if you would just distribute those, there's one for public record as well. Thank you.
The last speaker is Lynn Walston.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak to you about an important issue. My name is Lynn Walston, and I too belong to the Cobb Parks Coalition. The points I'm going to make are echo some of the things that the two former speakers have said to you. Our website is lovecobbparks.com, where you can find a number of articles published in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and the Marietta Daily Journal about parks and our efforts to promote green space in Cobb County. Commissioner Lee, we're very appreciative of your recent commitment to fully fund the $40 million 2008 park bond that the Cobb citizens voted on. I understand that there may be procedures to follow before the full $40 million can be spent in October, but I have concerns that of the 21 or so remaining properties that were selected for consideration for purchase in 2010, costs for them are rising exponentially, as the others have commented on, and the money remaining for the bond is disappearing day by day. Why not go out and visit some of these properties now and begin purchasing them while they are more affordable? Many of the property owners, like the Fur family, have waited for 7 years and have sacrificed to keep their properties available for green space purchase. Each commissioner has properties from that list in their district. The purchase of these properties is the will of the people. They voted for them, and you, as our commissioners, are obliged to fulfill their request. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, or next tab is tab 5, the consent agenda. Commissioners, I'll bring forward a motion to approve the consent agenda as revised and authorize the execution of the necessary documents by the appropriate county personnel. Is there a second? Any comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That'll take us to tab 6, transportation. Several items. Mr. Wilgus.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, and Mr. Hankerson. Our first item is to approve a contract with Brassfield and Gorey LLC for construction of the Windy Ridge Parkway Bridge pedestrian improvements. State PI number 0013963, Cobb County project numbers E7520 and X2405, MIS contract number 000944. The Windy Ridge Parkway Bridge pedestrian improvement project consists of the widening of the existing Windy Ridge Parkway Bridge over I-75 and I-285 ramps to provide enhanced pedestrian accommodations and greenway space. The Windy Ridge Parkway Bridge typical section will remain a 4-lane divided roadway. The low bid of $11,368,902.02 from Brassfield and Gorey was reviewed and found to be reasonable and responsive. The overall completion date for this project is July 31st, 2017, and includes an intermediate completion date of March 20, 2017 to provide for safe pedestrian access across the bridge. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Brassfield and Gorey LLC in an amount not to exceed $11,368,902.02 for construction of the Windy Ridge Parkway Bridge pedestrian improvements, state PI number 0013963, Cobb County project numbers E7520 and X2405, MIS contract number 000944, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you. Commissioner Ott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few comments. I know there was an article in the MDJ this morning about this, and I think it mischaracterizes it as a Braves bridge. This bridge, yes, it will benefit people that are going to the stadium, but it also is part of an overall strategy by the county and DOT and the Cumberland CID to make the entire Cumberland area more pedestrian friendly. I would point out the fact that on US 41 the state is not only widening the road, but adding a multi-use trail. And we actually have an agenda item number 5 today that talks about issues related to the Bob Callan Trail, which the Cumberland CID has been working together with the county, expanding the trail network and actually bringing it up into this part of the office complexes. And there are over 5 residential communities being built on Circle 75 and then one at Windy Ridge and Powers Ferry. So I think it's a little bit of a mischaracterization to call it just a Braves Bridge. I think it's part of an overall plan to make the entire area more pedestrian friendly. So make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 2, please.
This item is to approve resurfacing contract 2016-3 Local Roads North with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc. for the resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number X2901, MIS contract number 000946. Resurfacing is an approved component in the 2016 SPLOST Transportation Improvement Program. The low bid of $6,986,921.88 from C.W. Matthews Contracting Company was reviewed and found to be reasonable and responsive. The contract completion date for this work is December 31st, 2016. We request the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract number 2016-3 Local Roads North with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $6,986,921.88 for the resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number X2901, MIS contract number 00946, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioner Cupid, for
Thank you, Lisa.
covering for Commissioner Weatherford there.
Just really click the wheel.
Agenda item number 3, please.
This item is to approve the consultant services agreement with HNTB Corporation for engineering design services of Windy Hill Road, Terrell Mill Road Connector, project number X2401, MIS contract number 000955. Windy Hill Road, Terrell Mill Road Connector is an approved project in the thoroughfare and mobility improvements component of the 2016 SPLOST Transportation Improvement Program. The department has negotiated a final scope of services and fee with HNTB Corporation in an amount not to exceed $1,262,210.27 for design of the Windy Hill Road, Terrell Mill Road Connector project. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a consultant services agreement with HNTB Corporation in an amount not to exceed $1,262,210.27 for engineering design services of Windy Hill Road, Terrell Mill Road Connector, project number X2401, MIS contract number 000955, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a kind of a few words about this. This is a extremely significant project for the area. Will provide tremendous traffic relief for Powers Ferry, and also with the managed lanes exit at Terrell Mill, will allow connectivity back to the Cumberland area. And importantly to note also, it is the only new road in the 2016 SPLOST. So I make a motion to approve.
Second. Any other comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, please.
Item number 4 is to approve a developer's memorandum of agreement with AOA Property Holdings, Inc. and Catholic Construction Services, Inc. and authorize the acceptance of the developer contribution for construction modifications on Cedar Crest Road, project number D4070. Cedar Crest Road from Cobb Parkway, Paulding County line east to Governorstown Drive is an approved project in the thoroughfare improvements component of the 2005 SPLOST Transportation Improvement Program. AOA Properties Holding, Inc. and Catholic Construction Services, Inc. are developing a property on parcels 13 and 17 along Cedar Crest Road. This development will require modifications to the current construction plans for Cedar Crest Road to include turn lanes and driveway cuts. Per terms of the memorandum of agreement, AOA Property Holdings, Inc. and Catholic Construction Services, Inc. have agreed to provide funding in the amount of $104,540 to be utilized for the additional cost associated with these construction modifications. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a developer's memorandum of agreement with AOA Property Holdings, Inc. and Catholic Construction Services, Inc. for construction modifications on Cedar Crest Road, project number D4070, Authorize acceptance of the developer contribution in the amount of $104,540 for this project. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you. Commissioner Rutherford.
Motion to approve is presented, sir.
Any comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, please.
This item is to approve an encroachment agreement with Colonial Pipeline Company for encroachment upon an existing utility easement located on Bob Callan Trunk Trail, Phase 2, Segment A at Rottenwood Creek. State PI number 0010009, Cobb County project number TR 474. Bob Callan Trunk Trail Phase 2, Segment A is an approved project in the Atlanta Regional Commission Plan 2040 Regional Transportation Plan designated as state PI number 0010009 and ARC project number CO 446. We request the Board of Commissioners approve an encroachment agreement with Colonial Pipeline Company for encroachment upon the existing utility easement located on Bob Callan Trunk Trail Phase 2, Segment A at Rottenwood Creek, state PI number 0010009, Cobb County project number TR 474, and authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents in a form substantially similar to the attached and approved by the Cobb County Attorney's Office.
Commissioner Wright.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned earlier, this is another example of the attempt by the county and the Cumberland CID and even the ARC to add pedestrian access in the area. So make a motion to approve.
Any other comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, please.
Item 6 is to approve a Cobb framework agreement with the Cumberland Community Improvement Districts for the I-285 multi-use bridge, project numbers E4210 and X2408. The I-285 multi-use bridge project consists of a bridge spanning Galleria Drive, I-285, and Circle 75 Parkway to SunTrust Park. The total project length is approximately 1,110 feet. The Cobb Framework Agreement, CFA, details the responsibilities of both the Cumberland CID and the county. For terms of the CFA for this project, the CCID will contribute $5 million toward the total project cost. We request the Board of Commissioners approve the Cobb Framework Agreement, CFA, with the Cumberland Community Improvement District for I-285 multi-use bridge project numbers E4210 and X2408, and authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents in a form substantially similar to that provided under separate cover and as approved by the County Attorney's Office.
Commissioner Wright.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, please.
This item is to approve a utility relocation agreement with Georgia Power Company for I-285 multi-use bridge project numbers E4210 and X248, MIS contract number 000958. The I-285 multi-use bridge consists of a bridge spanning Galleria Drive, I-285, and Circle 75 Parkway to SunTrust Park. The total project length is approximately 1,110 feet. Federal and other funding has become available for the construction of this project. Therefore, the project is now eligible for inclusion in the local match for the future federal, state, local funding category and the thoroughfare and mobility improvements component of the 2016 SPLOST TIP. A combination of funding from the Cumberland Community Improvement District, FTA grants, the Atlanta Braves, and the Cumberland Special Service District 1 will be used to construct this project. Construction of this project will require Georgia Power Company to remove and relocate their existing facilities. Since the facilities may be located on Georgia Power Company's easement, the cost for the relocation in an amount not to exceed $56,530 may be reimbursable by Cobb County. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a utility relocation agreement with Georgia Power Company in the amount not to exceed $56,530 for the I-285 multi-use bridge project numbers E4210 and X2408, MIS contract number 000958, authorize the corresponding budget transaction, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents in a form substantially similar to the attached and as approved by the County Attorney's Office.
Commissioner Wright.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item is to approve a contract with Northwest Express Road Builders, a joint venture for the construction of the I-285 multi-use bridge, project numbers E4210 and X2408, MIS contract number 000951. The I-285 multi-use bridge project consists of a bridge spanning Galleria Drive, I-285, Circle 75 Parkway to SunTrust Park. The total project length is approximately 1,110 feet. The low bid of $10,085,408.80 from the Northwest Express Road Builders was reviewed and found to be reasonable and responsive. The completion date for this project is August 31st, 2017. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with the Northwest Express Road Builders, a joint venture, in an amount not to exceed $10,085,408.80 for the construction of the I-285 multi-use bridge project numbers E4210 and X2908, MIS contract number 000951, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Ott?
Mr. Chairman, if you'll indulge me, could I have Jim Pearson come up for a few questions?
Sure.
And while he's coming up, I apologize for this late discussion, but I was going through some emails this morning and did not have a chance to talk with everyone else.
Yes, sir.
Jim, there's been some question about using the local match funds, and part of the funding for this project includes using the Cumberland Special District dollars.
Yes,
Would
sir.
it be possible to take the two fundings, and I believe it's about 900,000 that are on the local match, and get those funds from the Cumberland District funds? And if so, what would be the implications down the road?
So your question is to replace the local match with using this Cumberland Support
Right, would
Services
it be possible
District
to do
1.
that, number one?
It
And
would
if
be
so,
possible.
Okay, if
yes, sir.
so, what would be, I mean, obviously, that money is earmarked for other things. What would be the implications down the road?
Those funds currently, right now, are bringing in approximately 3.4 million a year. We've allocated 2.74 for the Braves debt service. And beginning in 2017, we were going to begin using the excess for circulator operations. So it would be possible from a cash flow perspective to use those funds. It may delay how much you'd have to put into operations.
So we would have to use, what, general fund money potentially in 2017 to cover the operations of circulator?
That is a possibility, yes, sir. We've also used about 600,000 for buses that would be paid over a 5-year, not to exceed 5-year period of circulator funds. So yes, sir, it is possible from a cash flow perspective, and it may, depending on the impact of the Braves and how much excess we get, could impact the operational funding to begin with.
Well,
But,
and it may
sir,
not be as much because there is a hotel going into the mixed use.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, what I would like to do is make a motion to approve the contract, but ask, and because this is kind of a last minute discussion, I mean, I would ask to approve the contract, and in my motion, ask staff to bring back or to review what we just talked about and have us vote on the actual funding equation at the next meeting. Could we do that?
I don't think we can. Correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you award a contract without a final funding?
We'd have to have the funding in place, so you would just need to modify the motion to have the funding come from the support services, or the, I'm sorry, the Special Services District.
The only reason I was asking the other way is I didn't know if you were comfortable with changing the funding source of that, just hearing this for the first time.
Well, no, I'm not comfortable with it.
Well, that's why I, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
the reason is we've spent quite a bit of time with this project laying out a funding mechanism that the staff is comfortable with and has made every effort to try to bring the board up to speed on what those funding options and why we are where we are. I think it's a staff recommendation. We go forward with this, and I realize there's alternatives that were looked at, and
Well,
at this
yeah, I
point,
don't know.
because of the criticalness of this project, I think we should just go forward and approve the item as presented.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If we were to approve it as presented, and in the next 2 weeks, it was determined that it is possible to do it the other way, could we have another agenda item in 2 weeks that amended the funding?
That would certainly be at the board's discretion.
But how does it impact the vendor associated with the awarding? If Jim, I
Well-
think that has to go to you and Mr. County Manager. Mr. County Manager.
Sir.
I mean, this is uncharted waters we're getting into here.
Chairman, we studied all kind of options. We can come back as long as we go ahead and award the contract, if we allow us to review it, and we replace those monies as long as the money is there. I think we can do that, but we spent an inordinate amount of time looking at all of our funding sources. I spent 2 or 3 hours in the last week trying to work with staff to get the funding, but that's up to the board wishes. It wouldn't delay us signing the contract.
What was the last part again?
That we would have to come back and replace that funding that was in the contract with new funding if that's an option. But that's up to the board if you opt to do that.
What effect would it have on awarding the contract?
It won't have any.
Okay.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item 8 as presented, but also ask staff to get with the county manager and chairman and the rest of the commissioners to consider replacing the local match funding with using the Cumberland Services, is it 2, Jim?
Cumberland Services, Special Service District 1.
Right, Cumberland Special Services District 1, replacing the local match funding from that fund. So the motion would be to approve the contract as presented, and then ask staff to, to see if we could change it, and then if so, bring an agenda item back in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Chairman?
No, but I need to go forward with this project.
Well, I mean, it's going forward with it, it's
I
approving it,
understand.
it's awarding the contract.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with the thought process. I'll second that motion for the, any other
Yes,
comments,
I have some,
Commissioner?
I have some questions about this discussion. First, for Commissioner Ott, I wanted to know why you want to consider another bucket of funds for the additional portion.
There's some emails that the chairman and I received just questioning whether or not using the local match funds was appropriate.
Yeah.
And so that's why I asked the question, and like I said, I apologize because I didn't read, I read the emails this morning, didn't have a chance to talk to the chairman or anyone else. But that's why.
Okay. I'm open to us considering all the options, and I'm supportive of it, but it seems questionable to support a contract or to vote on a contract today, and then for us to think that there is as open a possibility for us to amend a contract. I mean, if the contract and it already has the funding mechanism in it, I mean, what is the likelihood of us being able to bring that contract back and modify that? It just seems as if we should be making those decisions at the same time, that we shouldn't try to parse.
Commissioner Hankerson, please address this. I mean, if we've modified contract funding statements in the past.
You wouldn't be modifying?
No, yes.
You wouldn't be modifying, and I can defer to legal, you'd just be modifying the funding. The contract would not be
That's what I'm
modified.
talking
So the
about, yeah.
contract doesn't provide where the funds
No.
are
No.
coming from? Okay, so then if a vote were to come back to the board, we would be modifying the appropriation as
The funding,
articulated
just
in
the
the.
funding.
Okay.
You wouldn't be changing no dollar amount or anything else.
Anything else, Commissioner? Commissioner Weatherford?
Mr. Pearson,
Yes, sir.
in your professional opinion, is the way that it was presented the best route for the county to go? Or is the other appropriate, and was that explored before?
We looked at all options, and this is the option that was presented. So the other option is a workable option. I'd have to look at the cash flows. I believe they would be sufficient, especially with the way the cash flows are coming now. My only concern would be that it would be impacting potential funding that's available for the operations of the circulator in 2017.
But the current option as presented to this board and as we discussed yesterday in agenda prep, et cetera, does not have any impacts like that.
No, sir.
And you are agreeing with it. In that case, then I feel better supporting what was presented and not trying to modify it at this later date.
Commissioner Pearl?
Well, that was one of my questions was the option that Commissioner Ott presented explored in the initial, when you first looked at it with the county manager, as far as using the funds from the special service district
No, ma'am, we did not look at having that much of a funding to support the bridge. We looked at the bridge as we looked at this funding source as a possibility with legal, that it was a legal use of those funds. And we looked at it in light of the $156,000 that was needed to complete the funding for the project. So it wasn't looked at from that large of a perspective.
Mr. Hahn.
I just would want to remind the fellow board members that my motion was to approve the agenda item as presented and simply asked staff to look to see the viability or the feasibility of the other funding source. And if the chairman and the county manager and everyone else agrees, to then bring something back. But the motion was to approve it as presented. I simply asked that staff use the next 2 weeks to look to see if it can be done the other way.
So it may not ever come back if there's not an option there. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 9, please.
Item 9 is to approve supplemental agreement number 1 to the consultant service agreement with AECom Technical Services, Inc. for additional engineering and design services required for the I-285 multi-use bridge project number E4110, MIS contract number 000853. The I-285 multi-use bridge is an approved project in the thoroughfare improvements component of the 2011 SPLOST Transportation Improvement Program. Construction of the project is now ready to begin. The department requests approval of supplemental agreement number 1 to the consultant services agreement with AECom in an amount not to exceed $135,300.55 for additional engineering and design services required during construction. Additional bridge design services include review of shop drawings, field changes, technical assistance, and other engineering services. We request the Board of Commissioners approve supplemental agreement number 1 to the consultant services agreement with AECom Technical Services in an amount not to exceed $135,300.55 for additional engineering and design services required for the I-285 multi-use bridge project number E4210, MIS contract number 000853, authorize the corresponding budget transaction, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you. Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second. Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. Item 10, please.
Item 10 is to approve a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for preliminary engineering oversight on Interstate North Parkway at Interstate North Circle, State PI number 0013966, Cobb County project number E4190. Interstate North Parkway at Interstate North Circle is an approved project in the thoroughfare improvements component of the 2011 SPLOST Transportation Improvement Program and is designated as State PI number 0013966. The department is in receipt of a memorandum of agreement from the Georgia Department of Transportation for preliminary engineering oversight on the project. GDOT has estimated that the oversight fee of this project will be $50,000. This fee will be due upon execution of the MOA. Funding for the engineering oversight fee is available in the 2011 SPLOST Fund approved budget. We request the Board of Commissioners approve a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for preliminary engineering oversight on Interstate North Parkway, Interstate North Circle, State PI number 0013966, Cobb County project number E4190. Authorize payment of an engineering oversight fee in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Authorize the corresponding budget transaction and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents in a form substantially similar to that submitted under separate cover and as approved by the county attorney's office.
Thank you. Commissioner Hott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out that this is yet another project that kind of shows the comprehensive transportation plan that DOT and the Cumberland CID has for the area. As you can see, this project is around Windy Ridge Parkway. It's also around the agenda item dealing with the Bob Callan Trail, and I think it just further shows that there is a comprehensive plan that the county and the CID are working on in the area, and the bridge that we discussed earlier is just part of that. So motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Tab 7 we did earlier. Tab 8, Support Services, one item. John.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. This is an item of property's 2016 SPLOST for storage equipment that will be incorporated into the Superior Court Clerk and Solicitor's renovation project, which is located at 10 East Park Square. The department recommends that the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Datum Storage Solutions, an amount not to exceed $489,525.79 for high-density storage systems for the 2016 SPLOST Superior Court Clerks and Solicitors renovation project located at 10 East Park Square, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute necessary documents.
Thank you. Commissioner Rutherford.
Yes, sir. This is a very needed project. Be honored to approve it as presented, sir.
Thank you. Second. Any comments? Call a question. Motion carries 5-0. Tab 9 is community development. We have 2 items. Mr. Dana.
Mr. Chairman, Dana Johnson, Community Development. I'd ask, sir, if Mr. Jason Gaines can lead these 2 items, sir.
Absolutely.
Once again, good morning. Jason Gaines, Cobb Community Development. The following 2 items are the last remaining 2 from the comprehensive plan amendment items that were continued from this past January. One moment. Okay. The first of these items is Commission Proposal 47 or CP 47 in Commission District 4. The original proposal involved 13 parcels located on both the east and west sides of Mableton Parkway and recategorizing them from Community Activity Center, or Community Activity Center to Neighborhood Activity Center on the county's future land use map. With the exception of the 2 westernmost parcels that have frontage on Boggs Road. If you look at the image in front of you at the top image, it's the 2 westernmost parcels and those that are highlighted were originally recommended for deletion by the Planning Commission from Neighborhood Activity Center to low-density residential, being that those parcels can currently have single-family residences located on them. At the Board of Commissioners hearing in January for comprehensive plan amendments, the items were approved with those 2 parcels aforementioned held for future study by, or a continuing study by staff, excuse me. We met with the district commissioner in regards to this to gather more information needed to develop language for a text amendment to the comprehensive plan to express concerns of the commissioner as well as the affected property owners. With that, the following text amendment was recommended or developed by staff. In an effort to mitigate commercial land use impacts affecting adjacent residential land uses, it is recommended any proposed development in the Neighborhood Activity Center for an assemblage of parcels located on the west side of Mableton Parkway, south of Boggs Road, that the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners consider inclusion of a higher density residential component as a transition between the commercial development and the adjacent low-density residential neighborhoods. So with that, staff has recommended that this text amendment be adopted as well as the original request to recategorize the parcels from Community Activity Center to Neighborhood Activity Center, thereby removing the recommendation to delete to LDR.
Thank you. Commissioner Cupid.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and also thank you, Jason, for your work on this. I think this text amendment helps to find some middle ground between the interests of the property owner and the future desires of the surrounding community. With that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Any comments? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Item 2.
All right. Final item is zoning decision 20 or ZD 20 which consists of an assemblage of 3 parcels located between Bells Ferry Road and Chastain Meadows Parkway in Commission District 3. The original proposal was to recategorize from a medium-density residential and community activity center to community activity center in its entirety. The Planning Commission recommended that the item be withdrawn pending the issuance of a land disturbance permit for the portion of the proposed development on the subject property that would contain residential use. In January, the Board of Commissioners recommended that the item be, or ordered, excuse me, that the item be held and requested staff to bring forward a recommendation regarding potential land use categories that adequately address current zoning stipulations associated with the rezoning on the subject property. With that, staff has recommended that the Board of Commissioners withdraw item ZD20 for potential future consideration.
Commissioner Burrow.
Yes, I concur, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate the participation and input from the Bells Ferry Civic Association on this item, as well as the developer. So with that, I make a motion to withdraw ZD20.
Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Dana. Tab 10 is finance.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Hankerson. This is an agenda item that goes back to April 14th, 2015 for our first capital lease for the use of 2016 SPLOST proceeds. And this is strictly for accounting purposes for us to be able to put the necessary accounts in our financial system with appropriations of budget to record the capital lease proceeds and debt service and principal. It doesn't amend the lease in any way. It's strictly for accounting purposes on our part to clean up some things that should have been included in the original agenda item. So at this time, with that explanation, I'd ask the Board of Commissioners to authorize the appropriation of capital lease proceeds and debt service payments in relation to the capital lease previously approved by the Board of Commissioners for the purchase of various equipment in the 2016 SPLOST Fund, and further authorize the corresponding budget transactions.
I bring that forward in form of a motion. Is there a second? Call the question. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jim. Tab 11 is community development again. Councilors, we've been asked to take a modest 5-minute break, so we'll come back at 11:45. Good morning. We are back to the Board of Commissioners meetings for for April 12th, 2016. We are on tab 11. We have two community development hearings. Item 1. Counselor, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. County Manager, Madam County Attorney. For the benefit of the applicants, my name is Sam Hensley Jr., the attorney for the Cobb County Business License Division. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we do have two hearings today, the first of which involves Ms. Krista Cobb on an application for an alcohol permit to serve alcohol at the Marietta Fish Market. When this application was first reviewed, Mr. Chairman, there were more than one potential disqualifying offenses on the application and the history of the applicant. Later investigation, because most of these offenses took place out of state, it was determined that there is only one disqualifying or potential disqualifying offense to be considered today, as our evidence will show, and that is a felony drug conviction within the past 5 years immediately prior to the application, which is a violation of Section 6-206 of our code. So our evidence will show that that violation was revealed on the application. The County License Review Board heard this case on January the 21st of this year and recommended that the application be approved and that the license, or the work permit rather, be granted. This board then chose not to affirm the decision of the License Review Board, which brings us here today for a hearing on that appeal of the administrative denial of the alcohol work permit application. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I will swear in the witnesses at this time and call my one and only witness.
Please.
If you'll be testifying in this hearing on Ms. Krista Cobb, or believe you may be testifying, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call Sergeant Bonnie Smith, please.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. And could you state your full name for the record, please?
Bonnie Smith,
And where are you employed, Sergeant Smith?
the Cobb County Police Department, currently assigned to the Regulatory Services and Permits Unit.
And I refer to you as Sergeant, is that correct?
Either's fine.
Very good. And briefly tell us what your duties are as a member of that unit, the Cobb County Permits and Regulatory Services Unit.
As it relates today, we regulate businesses that hold alcohol licenses. We do background investigations for the Business License Office, as well as issue permits to employees and required staff that work in those establishments.
Okay. And are you familiar with the applicant whose application we are considering today, Ms. Krista Cobb?
I am.
And it is my understanding that she submitted an application, I believe in December of last year, for a permit to serve alcohol at the Marietta Fish Market. Is that correct?
The actual date that she was in our office was October 2nd of 2015 for that application for the work permit for Marietta Fish Market.
Okay. And as part of that application, did you review the application and review the criminal history of this applicant as you normally do under your normal duties?
I did.
And it's my understanding that there were more than one offense that might potentially have been automatic disqualification of this applicant for this work permit on that original application. Is that correct?
That's correct. There were several things that we needed to look at listed on the application.
And then I believe there was some later investigation due to this being, most of these had occurred out of state. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And ultimately, it was determined that there was how many offenses that needed to be considered as violations of 6-206?
During the initial background investigation, I believe we had 4.
But ultimately, there was just...
And then we ended up with, there was one that was inside the 5-year window that she is not eligible based on the current standard of the ordinance.
Okay, and that would be a felony drug conviction, is that correct?
That is correct. She had a felony drug conviction, in Nevada on May 5th of 2014. She was guilty for possession, Schedule 4.
And that was the conviction date, is that
That is the
correct?
conviction date.
And was she honest on her application? Did she reveal this offense on her application originally?
She did.
And then at that point, did you submit that information to the Business License Division?
Yes,
Okay, and I believe then they submitted a letter of denial, is that correct?
that's correct.
That's all the questions that I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is Ms. Cobb, which one's Ms. Cobb?
Right here.
Okay. At this point, Ms. Cobb, if you have any questions of the sergeant concerning the information provided, this would be your opportunity to do so. Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb. The commissioners have any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant. Good to see you this morning.
That's the only witness that I have,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Ms. Cobb? Good morning.
Good morning.
I know we could be intimidating. Don't let us just if you would, tell us your story and if you have any witnesses you'd like to bring forward at that time, after you get done presenting your opening thoughts, we'll go from
Okay, I
that
just
point.
have my mom with me.
Sure.
And she's the one that brought me back out here from Nevada to come and stay with her under the stipulations that I went to rehab. And that's what I did. I went to rehab, and I am now going to NA twice a week. I had a baby, which is why my mom let me come home. I was on drugs. I was prostituting, as those were the charges that were disqualifying me from getting the work permit. Since I've been in Georgia, I haven't gotten in any trouble. I've just been taking care of my son. My son is 6 months now. Haven't been on drugs, haven't, broken the law in any kind of way. So, I mean, both my sisters work at the Marietta Fish Market, and they talked to their manager, and she said she would give me a chance. But, in that location, you have to have a liquor license to work there. So she said if I can get that, then she'll give me a chance, and I have a job there. I've been going through this for a while. Like she said, I think it was October, September that I've been trying to get this. So meanwhile, I've been trying to find another job, and with my record with that drug conviction, I haven't been able to find a job anywhere. So if I can get this liquor license and work at the Marietta Fish Market, then I'll be able to really move on with my life and take care of my son, and my mom won't be responsible for all this. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Do you have any witnesses you'd like to have?
I just have my mom here with me. I don't know what.
May I ask a couple of questions?
Sure,
Mr. Chairman?
absolutely, Counselor.
Just very briefly, Ms. Cobb. First of all, just so that you're clear, to be fair to you, the only charge on your record that will be considered today is the drug charge. Any other offense falls outside of what we call the look-back period under our code. So that's really the only relevant charge. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Yeah, just to be fair to you. Are you currently on probation for your drug charge?
No.
Okay. And I believe you indicated that you had some counseling. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to Ridgeview out here in Georgia when I came out here, and they recommended me to do NA classes, and I was actually on medication for my mental state as well, and we wrapped that up. I'm done with the whole seeing the psychiatrist thing, so I'm just doing NA now.
Okay. And I think the most pertinent question in regard to any kind of substance abuse problem, whether it be alcohol or drugs, is are you a responsible, suitable person to be entrusted with serving alcohol to other people? Do you understand that?
Right.
Can you understand why this board might have some reservations or questions about that?
I do.
And that you're the last line of defense from an underage person or an intoxicated person getting served alcohol and potentially going out and having an accident or some other very unfortunate event occurring.
Right. I have a son. I just want to work and take care of my son. I don't have no reason to give no underage child alcohol. That won't do anything for me besides get me in a bunch of more trouble that I don't need and prevent me from working. So, no, that's not something that I feel like is an issue.
Okay, that's all I had, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. Yeah.
Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Cobb? Commissioner Burrow?
Sorry. Good morning. When did you return home to live with your mom and
May.
go through?
May.
Last May?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's almost been a year.
So you've been through rehab and you've been clean for almost a year next month, okay. I do have just one question on your, on the questionnaire, number 20. I'm a little uncomfortable that the License Review Board approved this 2-to-1 with 2 of the members absent. So I think that's why it got pulled and why you're here today for the full board to hear it.
Oh, okay.
But on number 20 on your questionnaire, it says, what evidence can you provide the LRB that you understand state and county law regarding the sale and service of alcohol? And your response was, I know that you have to card before serving liquor to anyone under 21. You would never serve.
I mean, that's not what I meant. I was like,
I didn't think so.
that's not what I meant.
So can you
You
clarify
have to
that?
card everybody, but I know that, that's like the main thing that, we had discussed, like the serving alcohol to people under 18, but I know you do have to card every single person.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to clarify, because I didn't think you meant that, but I just wanted to hear it from you. So, and you will have to go through classes and training, if you get your server's permit to go through that. And a lot has changed. I don't know how long you were out of state, but a lot has changed, and now the licenses show whether the person is under 21 or not. It makes it pretty easy to read. So, that's all the questions I had of you. I think you had a witness you wanted to present.
I got this, thanks.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. Ms. Cobb, at this point, if there's somebody you want to bring up as a witness for you to ask questions and a counselor to ask questions, cross-examination, you can. It is not required. It's just up to you.
Oh, no, unless you guys wanted to ask questions.
I don't think we have a desire to go there either. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any closing comments, this would be the time where you make those comments to us, please.
No, I don't.
Thank you. Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Cobb. Counselor?
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Burrow?
I keep reaching over to the wrong side. Yeah, this, well, first of all, I'm sorry for your past but it looks like with your mother's help and sisters and family that, you're in the right place now, and looks like you're sincere about doing the right thing and moving forward with your life. And I'm sure a 6-month-old son is a big part of that and the reason that you want to do right. So I would like to make a motion to approve your server's permit. And I hope you'll stay where you are and moving forward, and wish you luck.
Second.
We have multiple seconds. Sergeant, does a license stay with the person or the establishment? So if she were to lose her, if for some reason she wasn't able to keep the job at the Marietta Fish Market, would that license go with her?
Yes, sir. She can take it with her.
Okay, very good. Any other comments? Call a question. Motion carries 5-0. Next agenda item is an appeal hearing for Jerry Oates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, we have a situation where there was an application for an alcohol permit or a permit to serve alcohol at Zoe's Kitchen for Mr. Jerry Oates. This application was originally administratively denied due to, again, a violation of 6-206, in that our evidence will show that the applicant had 2 DUI convictions within the previous 5 years immediately prior to the application. This matter came before the License Review Board on March 10th of this year, at which time the License Review Board recommended the approval of the permit application. And again, the board did not see fit to affirm that recommendation, which brings us here today, again, to hear this appeal. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I will again swear in the witnesses for this matter.
Thank you.
If you'll be testifying in this hearing, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give before this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Thank you. You may be seated. And again, I'd like to call Sergeant Smith.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman. Good morning again.
Good morning.
And briefly for the record, if you don't mind restating your name and occupation.
Bonnie Smith, Cobb County Police Department, Regulatory Services and Permits Unit.
And are you familiar with Mr. Jerry Oates and his application for an alcohol work permit that is the subject of this hearing today?
I am. He was in our office on February 10th of this year.
And I believe he submitted an application for a permit to serve alcohol at an establishment known as Zoe's Kitchen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe there may be some confusion as to the location of this particular establishment. Can you clarify that for us?
Yes, he applied for the Zoe's Kitchen located at 2935 Cobb Parkway. It's located in the Acres Mill Square Shopping Center near Cumberland Mall.
Okay. I didn't see an address on this particular letter, so that may have been my confusion as well. But and that's located in unincorporated Cobb County, is that correct?
It is.
And in reviewing this application, did you find any disqualifying offenses either revealed on his background check or on the application?
Yes, he listed 2 DUIs on the back of his application that potentially could have been in the 5-year period. And once we confirmed that through his criminal history, we did confirm that they were a conviction in August of 2011 for DUI in Cobb County and a DUI conviction in November 15, Cobb County, and both fall within that 5-year period.
And that mandates an administrative denial, does it not, under 6-206?
It does.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Oates, do you have any questions for the sergeant? Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant.
No, sir.
Commissioners, you're good. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry. Sorry, Sergeant.
That's okay.
You mentioned 2935, yet the document says 3285.
Which document? It says 32.
The
Our agenda.
appeal hearing, our agenda says 3285 Cobb Parkway in Ackworth, not 2935, which that leads to an O'Charlie's, and there's no Zoe's Kitchen in Ackworth.
Correct. I think that's an error. I did not prepare the agenda address, so I'm not
This
sure.
is minutes from the License Review Board that we're looking at.
Okay, that was done by the Business License Office, I believe, that prepares that, but it is, your address that you're looking at on that is incorrect. He is
Would you please
applying
read the correct address one more time for the record?
2935 Cobb Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sergeant.
That's all the witnesses that I have, Mr.
Thanks,
Chairman.
Mr. Oates. If you'd come up, similar to the case we just had, if you would please just tell us your story, and if you have any witnesses that you would like to bring, this would be a time to do it as well.
Okay.
Please.
I don't have any witnesses.
Okay. I'm sorry. Present your thoughts, please.
Yes, sir. I was pulled over with DUI probably about 2 years ago. I was working at a restaurant behind the bar. after the arrest, I kind of felt that I did have a little bit of a drinking problem, so I pulled away from working behind the bar and doing things like that. I got a job at Zoe's Kitchen. I've worked there for 2 years. They just recently acquired beer and wine and required us to have liquor license. In January of this year, I applied on February, and it was denied. Since my court date, I've completed all my treatment. I have some papers here for my 36 hours of treatment, which I've completed. I've done the risk reduction class, the 20 hours, also the Mothers Against Drunk Driving class seminar. Just really asking to get this liquor permit. This is my primary source of income. I've done this, I've worked in Cobb County since 2006. I've had a liquor license. I take my job very seriously. I've never had any issues with the laws of selling alcohol. And that's pretty much about it.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions, Mr. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just kind of clarify thing. I can see the heads going around back there too. You said that you've had a liquor license. Have you had a liquor license before?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and when was that, or was that here in Cobb?
Yes, sir.
But you don't have one now?
No, sir.
So, all right, so, and this is kind of more clarification. So you were working at another establishment, at a bar, so you had a server's permit for that, correct? Is that what you're saying?
At the time of the arrest?
No, just the fact that you had a liquor license and then you couldn't get one now. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to establish when you had a liquor license, because they're asking the same question among themselves.
The last liquor license I had was 2 years ago.
So it was that's what you had that allowed you to work at the bar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so then what I heard you say was that when you had the DUI, you stepped away from alcohol, went to the treatment, stepped away from the job that put you around alcohol, and went to Zoe's Kitchen.
Correct.
And then you've been working there for 2 years. And now, as a result of their change in their menu, so to speak, that they're now serving beer and wine, that's why you had to apply. You're not applying because you wanted to go work at a restaurant that had alcohol already. It's because Zoe's Kitchen's menu changed.
Yes, sir. They've just acquired, and they required all their employees to get liquor license to sell beer and wine.
So basically, when you stepped away 2 years ago, you've remained away from looking for a job that would serve alcohol, and this is just a result of their change.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner Weatherford?
You said the last DUI was 2 years ago, and I thought I heard you say last year. I'm sorry, Sergeant. So
the court date was in November of last year, but this incident was pushed in. It was in Smyrna, and then it got forwarded over to Cobb County, which took almost. It's been about 2 years since November.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of clarification, Mr. Oates. Did I understand you correctly that on the last DUI you received, you were driving from work when you were pulled over? Did I understand you correctly?
No, sir. No, I was not. I was coming from a grocery store.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. It sounded like you said you were behind the bar and then got the DUI, and
no, sir. I was
concerned.
At the time of my arrest, I was working as a bartender.
Okay.
And that's what I meant, but.
Okay. So what kind of training have you had, along with your experience in serving alcohol, that would help this board understand whether you're a suitable person to be entrusted again with the service of alcohol?
I've taken several classes on safe serving alcohol required by many of our restaurants. Certain restaurants require you to take these certification classes. So I'm well aware of noticing when to serve people, when not to serve people, always carding under the age of 40. I've been in this business for a very long time. I just know what to and not to do when it comes to serving alcohol.
So, and I'll ask you the same question that I asked the previous applicant. Do you understand why this board takes this so seriously? That you are the last line of defense from someone, forgive me, just like yourself, getting intoxicated, potentially getting behind the wheel of a car and something really, really terrible happening. You're the one that's going to prevent that from happening in many cases if you're entrusted with the privilege, and it is a privilege permit, to serve alcohol. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You have any other thoughts, sir?
I just want to reiterate that since this arrest, I've completely changed my lifestyle and my environment. I was living in a house with a few guys. I've moved out since then. I've went through treatment. I've taken that very seriously, and it's really stuck to me. I do have a daughter, and I'm just trying to be better for her and myself, and pretty much just the community itself, and just changing my way of life. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's not live now.
No. Mr. Ott, and lead our conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think there's two things to point out here before I make a motion. Number one, when the applicant had, or when Jerry had the issue with alcohol, he stepped away, gave up the job that he had, stepped away and knew that he needed to do something different. So I commend you for that. And number two, I think it's important to note here that he put himself in a job that did not have alcohol at it. And through no action of his own, he now is before us requesting a service permit because the job that he's had successfully for a couple of years now requires it. So I have no problem with making a motion to grant the alcohol license.
There's a second, multiple seconds. Any other comments? Call the question. Just be patient, folks. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Brad. I bet the other boards weren't this difficult, were we? Tab 12. Public comment.
One speaker, Norm Thagay.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Norm Fagg. I live in Cobb County since 1994, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Cobb Parks Coalition. I'd like to start out by thanking the Board of Commissioners and Chairman Lee for resurrecting the Parks bond issue. I would like to remind the Board of Commissioners of the obligation to spend the full $40 million that was authorized, mandated by the 2008 referendum by 67% of the voters. And I would also like to urge the commissioners to immediately begin purchasing properties that are on the 2008 list of approved properties, both for three reasons, really. First of all, it's a sign of good faith that the Cobb Parks bond is going to be fully implemented. Second, because prices are rising, and the quicker the properties are purchased, the less money you'll have to spend. And third, because the property owners have been waiting now for the better part of 8 years to have their properties purchased, as they were given reason to believe that they would be back in 2008. So other speakers before me have more than adequately conveyed these ideas, and So I'll conclude my remarks by once again asking you to please fully implement the $40 million parks bond that was voted for by 67% of the voters of Cobb County. Thank you.
It takes us to tab 13, public address. Commissioner Weatherford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few announcements. Just wanted to remind everyone that on April the 23rd, we will begin our, I guess, first professional sport game here in Cobb County. One of the three, the Atlanta Blaze. We're playing a professional lacrosse game at KSU Stadium on the 23rd. So I would like everyone to take a look at that and see if you can maybe take your family out and see one of the first professional sports teams to play in Cobb County. Also remind you that on Monday, May the 9th, from 6 to 8, I'll be having a community event at the Public Safety Village. It'll be a chance to have a town hall meeting and convey and tour the the safety village that we have here in Cobb County. So make a note on that to mark down May 9th from 6 to 8. And then on a sad note is we've all learned our first fire chief, David Hilton, has passed away. And I want to remind everybody there's a memorial Thursday the 14th at 1:30 at Trinity Chapel on Macklin Road in Powder Springs. Very instrumental in getting Cobb County where it is today and one of the pioneers in the fire service at 911. So it's sad to hear his passing, and we owe it to honor his service to our county and to public safety. Thank you.
Commissioner Ott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple events that are coming up. The first one is this week. I'm having a town hall meeting at 7 o'clock at Whitfield Academy. And then on April 23rd and 24th is the annual Jonquil Festival at the Village Green in Smyrna. Coming up on April 28th, the Water Authority will have an informational town hall meeting at 7 o'clock at Sterling Estates to discuss the next phase of the pipeline project. And then on May 7th at East Cobb Park, the Symphony on the Square, the Marietta Pops Orchestra will be having a Pops in the Park concert. And also on the same day is the Taste of East Cobb, which is at the Johnson Ferry Baptist Church parking lot. That's it.
Perfect. Commissioner Burrow.
Thank you. Our first How to Do Business with Cobb seminar will be this Thursday, April 14th at 5 p.m. at the Cobb Safety Village. At the seminar, you will learn the process of becoming a vendor with Cobb County government and also the Cobb schools, learn about local vendor presence ordinance, and meet with employees that make the purchasing decisions and network with other business owners. We hope you can attend. The seminar is free, but you do need to register, and you can see my assistant or email her at inger.eberhard@cobbcounty.org. On April 16th, you are invited to participate in KSU's Day of Service this Saturday, April 16th. Join faculty, staff, students, alumni, and other community members to assist 14 groups, nonprofits that work to make our community a better place for all. To learn more, visit dayofservice.kennesaw.edu. And also, the Neighborhood Safety Commission will host a drug awareness panel here in this room on Wednesday, April 20th at 7 p.m. The panel members will include officials from the District Attorney's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The panel discussion will also be televised live on Cobb TV. And also, last but not least, I'd like to remind everybody that April 19th is Patriots Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cupid.
Thank you, Chairman. A few events that we have coming up in the district. This Friday, we have applications due for the South Cobb Citizen of the Year, and that is a joint recognition by the Chamber of Commerce and South Cobb Rotary. Applications can be found at southcobbrotary.org. Following that, on Saturday, we have our annual Public Safety Block Party. It will be held this year at Cobb Park off of Sanford Road in Smyrna. And the time is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The next day, we have another fun event. We have a spring festival, which will be held at the South Cobb Recreation Center from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Later that week, we have a HOA boot camp. In fact, it's the next weekend that I'm hosting at the Riverside Epicenter. This is open to any resident that's here in Cobb or even outside of Cobb that wants to learn more about management of HOAs, any legal updates, the HOA law, and also hear about some good things that are going on in Cobb that affect our subdivisions and our residential communities. And again, that's Saturday, April 23rd. The time is extended to 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can register online by going through my website. Later this month, we will have a ribbon cutting for Mableton Town Square, and that will be taking place on Thursday, April 28th in front of Mableton Elementary School. And the start time of that is 10:30 a.m. and hope to see you out there. Finally, we have I forgot my own town hall meeting. But, prior to that, I have a town hall meeting which will take place on Thursday, April 21st, and that's going to be at the Lions, off of Lions Club Drive at the South Cobb Community Center in Mableton at 6:30 p.m. Finally, there's some good news. We've had certainly our issues with paving off of I-20 between Douglasville and Fulton County, and paving has resumed this past weekend to repair some of those potholes that are out there. And another good road project that we have going on is repaving of Mableton Parkway, and that actually began earlier this week. So while it's going to be a little inconvenient for us traveling through those areas, we should have a nice finished product for I-20 later this year, and hopefully before the end of the year for Mableton Parkway. So it's nice to see how the Floyd Road project and Mableton are going to Mableton Parkway are going to come together to create a nice ride for people passing through Mableton. That wraps up my announcements, and I just wanted to know that thank you for bearing with my coughing and hacking today, and prayerfully allergy season will be over soon. Yeah.
Commissioner Ott, I believe you forgot something, did you not?
I did. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, we will be breaking ground on the county's newest library and cultural arts center, which is going to replace the East Marietta Library on Lower Roswell Road. So come on out.
Which happened to coincide with National Libraries Week.
Yes, and Dr. McMorris has assured us that it is not going to rain on us.
There you go. There you go. So I only have one thing talking about Dr. McMorris. Is she gone? April 30th, the Aging by Design Summit is being held with Coach Vince Dooley and his wife Barbara being the keynote speakers. That's an incredible annual event for the senior community, not only those folks that may consider themselves seniors, but the folks that are caregivers as well, to learn about what is being offered to that community and what is available to support groups. I encourage you to be a part of that April 30th event, the Aging by Design group, and our website has more information. Mr. County Manager, anything else?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We are adjourned.